So good morning, everybody. My name is Krishnan. I'm the vice president for IIT Madras Alumni Association. Welcome to all of you to this webinar. I know in the last month or so, we've been conducting a number of webinars on several technology related topics, and today's topic is very important in terms of delivering social impact and what our ecosystem, the IIT Madras ecosystem, can do about it. And this is a very important question, especially in the context of this post-COVID situation and so on. I'm delighted to welcome two speakers today. Professor Mahesh Panchagnula, a Dean of Alumni and Corporate Relations. He is one of us. He did his BTech in IIT Madras, and of course, he needs no introduction to all of us, except to say that he has been championing the cause of this social impact for IITMAA for a long time, and so I invite him to speak today to share his thoughts. The second person that will be joining us today is Viraj Tyagi, CEO of E-Governments Foundation. And he is passionate about sort of cracking these societal challenges across Samaj, Sarkar, and Bazar. So that's an interesting phrase we want to hear from him. And he's also kindly agreed, his organization is one of the partners with IITMAA in the Innovation for Bharat Fellowship program that we will be announcing today. So welcome to both of them. With that introduction, Professor Mahesh, over to you. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you, Krishnan. I think I'll go back a little bit in time and try to talk a little bit about the role of IITMAA and how it has evolved in the last several decades. Just to put things in perspective, I'm going to start with facts that we may all know. IIT as an organization, IIT Madras, is a little over 60 years old. And in this 60 years, we've graduated close to about 42,000 alumni. Now, the moment any of us hears the phrase IIT alumni, there is a certain prestige associated with it for various reasons, which we do not take lightly. Every one of our alumni knows that they carry this badge with great honor. And again, when we hear the word IIT alumnus, we tend to think of all of these guys as having left the shores of India and are serving some country somewhere. The truth from the facts says that it is not the case at all. The vast majority of our alumni are right here in India and helping Indian organizations in their own pursuits. I think along the way, a key point to make is that wherever our alumni are, they are a key contributor to the local ecosystem, whether it be in the form of their jobs or whether it be outside their professional pursuits, as a socially conscious citizen of their neighborhoods. This is a trait I find common across the board in all our alumni, wherever they are. Now, in times of great crisis like this group of 42,000 people spread across the world can do a lot. And I believe an organization like the IIT Madras Alumni Association can help that cause a great deal. And let's think of the evolution of I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of the Alumni Association itself as an organization. This organization is almost as old as IIT, give or take a decade or so. I think it was started somewhere later. But as alumni got together, the initial purpose of the organization was to help organize alumni locally in their respective geographical locations and to help them come together, network, and grow professionally. That was the first kind of the charter of the Alumni Association. But as the association has evolved, as the networking aspect of the service provided by the association has really reached a sufficient scale to reach all alumni, then the association started to think of what else can we do with this very well networked group of extremely smart alumni. So that became the driving question for framing a new charter. And 2 years ago, Shubha Kumar took charge of the association as its president, and she and her team uh, did some research from the alumni as to what they expected of the alumni association in this new context, and came up with a very nice, concisely uh, defined theme or charter for the association. They said reconnect, engage, reconnect, and impact. So the first part was to reconnect among each other, which was sufficiently mature some time ago. The second part was to engage with your alma mater, engage with your society, with the immediate neighborhood around you. And the third part is to make an impact. And I think I'm very happy to see the association frame this charter and progress along to really uh, make a dent on all three of those steps that they laid out for themselves. I think today's event is all about impact, the last stage of what they had laid out for themselves, which is very heartening to see. So I think the innovation for Bharat Fellowship that Krishnan will talk about, mentioned, and he will probably give a more detailed overview of a little later on, is a step in that direction. It is a program intended to help IIT alumni and IIT Madras alumni in particular reach out to the larger ecosystems, be it the society at large, be it the markets, be it the social enterprise ecosystem out there. So it is an opportunity for our alumni to be part of these ecosystems and to help them and to make an impact. Being in those positions. The fellowship program itself is a time bound program, but it is intended kind of like an icebreaker. It is intended to kind of bring these two parties into conversation where otherwise these two parties would not hold this conversation. So it is all about making sure that people talk. And this innovation for Bharat Fellowship is a step in that direction to make sure we all begin these conversations towards delivering social impact. Now, I want to talk a little bit about social impact itself. This is a term that is used quite a bit in especially in a COVID world where there are all kinds of restrictions to operate. People in our immediate neighborhoods undergoing significant distress and suffering. It doesn't take much to reach out to a problem statement. Now, how do I know I have made an impact? And this is a question that's very important and needs to be understood very clearly. I will start by saying that the definition of impact is highly individualized. You can decide what your definition of impact is. But at the end of the day, we need to see others' lives changed as a result of what we do. This is a common thread that I don't think can be disputed. We need to see others' lives in the immediate neighborhood of in our immediate neighborhood, or in a broader context at the national level, state level, however you may want to define your neighborhood. We need to see an impact in other people's lives. And how do I know that other people have been impacted? Not by us talking about it, but by them talking about it. This is extremely important. And that's the reason I'm very happy to see Viraj on this platform. He's going to be one of our partners in the Innovation for Bharat Fellowship. And we would like to see him talk about his vision for what he thinks this fellowship can do. And some years later, we want him to come back and tell us what the fellowship has done for him. I think while this program is in vogue, we will do best to just keep quiet, do our work, and let others talk of the impact we make. I really believe we will have to move into this mode of operation. I'm very happy to share these thoughts. I really believe that the Alumni Association, with 42,000 uh, exceptionally gifted individuals, networked very well through all the platforms that we have now fully developed. Uh, I'm very upbeat about the impact that this very large group of alumni can deliver to the society at large. Thank you, Krishnan, for giving me this opportunity, and we look forward to hearing from you more on the Innovation for Bharat Fellowship, as well as from Viraj on his vision for what the fellowship can do. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor Mahesh. And I'm sure, where later on we will have a Q&A. So I'm sure people will have questions to you in terms of what else is happening in IIT Madras and so on, and you could share your thoughts at that point of time. So what I will do now is quickly share a little bit of information about about the innovation for Bharat, which Professor Mahesh has talked about and in a way launched. So let me just share this. So essentially, Innovation for Bharat is a platform that connects problem statement providers and problem solvers in the IIT Madras alumni ecosystem. Now, the problem statement providers, now we have actually signed up 3 partners as part of the initial launch. E-Government Foundation, the CEO of which Viraj is here with us today. We have Arghyam. We also have the Telangana State Innovation Cell. Now, these are all people who are providing problem statements on this platform, and we'll just take a quick look at it. Now, as part of this problem statements, we want the alumni ecosystem to come and solve it. One of the ways in which they will solve it is the fellowship program. Now, this fellowship program is a 1-year, full-time, paid fellowship. And so we want our alumni to come in and become fellows and become change agents. We are also opening this out to friends of alumni. That means, but the alumni has to recommend a friend, and so that way there is somebody known from the alumni ecosystem. So all these people can come and there will be a set of process by which we will identify the quality of candidates coming in, etc. And then they will then have the conversations with our partners and take it forward. What we have also done is we have created a portal which looks like this. I hope you are able to see the portal. Right now there are 3 organizations who have set up. Viraj will talk a little bit more about the e-government foundation, but for example, within that there are, I think, a number of opportunities that are open for fellowship here. Not just one, but you see one entry here. And we encourage you to keep coming back to this, and I'm sure this page will see a lot more traffic as we progress. So with that, let me stop here, and I would now invite Viraj to share his thoughts about what e-government foundation is doing and the fellowship program that he's unveiling to us today. Thank you. Viraj, over to you.
No, thank you. It's fascinating to listen to both of you. I think one of the things that really struck a chord with me is what is the definition of impact? Has it made a change to somebody's life? And I think, only about 3.5 years. And when I came initially, I came from doing a tech startup, exiting it successfully. Up before that, worked in multinationals as a CEO and stuff. I thought it was easy, just put some tech out there this is extremely hard. I mean, this is extremely hard, making societal changes and actually impacting people's lives really is extremely hard. Sometimes as technologists or engineers, we feel, you put a platform out there and magic will happen. But when you go in field, you're humbled time and again. So I'll just take some time to explain to you what we do, what our philosophy is, what the opportunities are. Very excited to be here. IIT Madras has been, Soumya is from IIT Madras, so who's kind of anchored this for us. And Rohit, who was our first product head, was from IIT Madras. So I think we have some fond kind of associations with them. So let me just share my screen and just 5 minutes take you through give you orientation of this. Could you guys see my screen? Okay, so this is, I think, this is what, if you had spoken to me a year and a half ago, we would have said our reason for existence is just putting digital platforms in. But this is the nuanced thinking we have, that unless you can improve the ease of living for people living in towns and cities of India, we can keep building technology. It doesn't count to anything. So, so that's the kind of what we live for. And this is really the question or problem, like you mentioned before, that we are trying to solve. How can we transform governance through an open digital infra for all 4,400 towns and cities of India? I think what has happened is in India, inclusion has various dimensions. There is obviously sex, class, and education, all those things. But also, if you look at cities and towns of India, what Chennai has available to it as tools and capacity. You go 400 kilometers out of Chennai to a small town, and it won't be there. And the people of that town are just it's a 20,000 people town. Like I know a town in Andhra Pradesh, Chirala, we keep going back to, and there is nothing there. So I think we want to make sure it's inclusive from a point of view of what kind of towns and cities it addresses. And, and we realize we've been at it for 17 years now. We've gone through the journey of thinking we can be the messiah and solve everything ourselves, to really getting a bit mature in the last 4 years and saying, this is extremely hard. Unless the whole collective power of what we call Samaj, Sarkar and Bazaar, which is the kind of social forces, and IIT Madras is a great example of that. The market forces, which is the tech players, the implementers, the entrepreneurs, and Sarkar, because ultimately governance can only be delivered by government. So I think you need to make them the part of the solution, and not just a part of a problem. And I think what we've realized is the complexity of societal challenges. It's dynamic, and to assume that one platform or one entity can solve it, it's I think. It's conceited, and it's a bit stupid. So I think what we worked very hard on is actually orchestrating this ecosystem, working with the ecosystem, learning from the ecosystem, and getting the participation to go up. And these are, in a very simple way, 3 layers of how change works. At the base of it, you see the enabled, which is a context-independent digital infrastructure, which is what we call Digit, which is which is our platform, which is the open source platform that we've built over the last 3 years. And that really enables, it's almost like an Android system for an app system, or highways, indeed, as a shared infra that is a public good. It's not, there's no entry fee to enter it. It's a open source system and open access system, more importantly. Then we create what we call context-aware co-creation environments, where people come together, and I'll give you an example of that later on, and use the same digital infra to create diverse solutions. And we have got some distance to go there. And that's one of the areas we love to work with IIT Madras on. And finally, what we call is context-intensive amplification networks. These are really, how do you go to population scale? I can build a wonderful solution, but if it is not adopted at a national level by the government or the non-profits who are delivering last mile service, it counts to nothing. So those are the 3 very simple way of explaining what we do. I'll come back. So this is a very short summary of where we are in our journey, and we like to call ourselves a philanthropic mission rather than a non-profit, because I think we are like a startup. I think the culture of this organization is we are 100 odd people, and the nature of problem is complex. Things keep changing. We pivot very frequently. But we are on a mission to transform governance through an open digital infra, and this is where we are right now in 14 states, either deployed or under rollout. 1,800 ULBs who are leveraging the platform, and we've got a national mandate working with the Ministry of Urban Affairs for a national rollout. And to give an idea of scale, this is the kind of scale. To give you some number, if we talk about impact. We believe 12 crore citizens are impacted in either by ease of accessing services or better services or timely services. For the municipalities, $1.1 billion property taxes what gets collected on the platform, and 3 million grievances are addressed. We are funded by Tata Trust, Nandan Nilekani, and Omidyar Network. And since you guys are all mostly engineers, this is a good way to look at those three layers that I talked about. There's a core digital infrastructure at the bottom. There's a set of services you build on top of that, which are slightly context aware, and there are solutions. So in an Android world, number registry, device registry is equivalent to property registry, employee registry in our world. Then you have services like camera services, notification services, location services. And then you have services like collection, billing. These are examples. We have 20 odd services here. And through open APIs, you can build multiple solutions. And the last layer is a solution layer. So this is really what helps participation from various stakeholders, creates potential for more solutions to come on the same digital infra, and creates speed and scale, so that people don't have to rebuild stuff. These are examples of some of the solutions that we have built on top of it. I must say, we're still some distance away from other people building solutions on top of our platform. We've got some examples, but not very successful. Right now, most of the solutions are built by us. So these are typical services you consume in an urban scenario. This is the work we do with the ministry. So I think we have three pillars of our strategy. It's not here, but technology is definitely one pillar, which is really open source digital infra that is reusable and it evolves. Second is policy. Unless we have policies, enabling policies from the government, adoption becomes very difficult. It's a lot of friction is there with adoption. So we have worked with the ministry in the Smart City mission to create what we call National Urban Innovation Stack, which is basically using open digital infra for all the states. So that has been in works for the last 2 years. We did a lot of design thinking with them, a lot of work with the states, and finally it got launched last year by the minister in February last year. But what that gives us is acceleration and removal of friction to adoption. So this is an example of what we built in response to COVID. This was not really what we are set out to do. But within 3 days, using the same digital infra, a problem that the nation was facing around, how do you ensure a controlled movement of essential services in a lockdown situation. So if you can see, within 3 days, from the day we started building it, and there were people, volunteers from IBIBO, from iSpirit, from Make My Trip, obviously our own employees. There was Hindustan Liver, Procter & Gamble working with us to see how on ground you'll implement it. There was Ministry of Consumer Affairs, there was Ministry of Home, there was PMO, and there was state government. So that's the kind of jugalbandi that happened in that period, if you will. And over 3 weeks, more than 5 lakh, this number is slightly outdated, journeys were enabled using this digital infra. And it's completely free of cost. Everything was hosted by us. So that is possible. That is how you recreate multiple things on the same platform. This is an example of, and it was integrated with Arogya Setu. And these are the people we were. So this is the Samaj Sarkar Bazaar example. When it comes together, there's magic that happens. So finally, what kind of projects fellows can work on? As I said, these are some examples. If you're passionate about something, please talk to us. But what I would say is we're like a startup. We are uncovering various things, but definitely things like, building products and solutions is a good one. Building standards. Standards are very important for platforms to scale. Then working with states, if you will, to adoption of digital governance is very important. And we are thinking of a governance innovation lab for other solutions to emerge on the same platform. So I would say, the biggest attraction for me, this I say is my third career or fourth career, is the possibility of making a societal impact. I didn't have a chance to show a video. My best moment in eGov was 2 years ago when I visited a very small town in Andhra Pradesh, and I met this volunteer who works in a lower, in a slum. Her name is Anta Lakshmi. And she showed me a story about how there was an overflowing drain. And she used, because she was kind of digitally enabled, she used the app to launch a complaint. She got a call from the commissioner of that city saying this will be fixed because it's a high, there's a risk of, dengue and everything. He was personally called and once the problem was fixed, she was called back to evaluate it like you do in an Uber or something. And she said last year the same thing happened and 2 young kids died because of dengue because this wasn't fixed on time. So that's the kind of societal impact you can have. This is the kind of change you can create in people's life. Obviously, it's a great, as I said, this is the toughest job I have done. There's a lot of learning working with government, working with policymakers. It's extremely, extremely challenging. And then I think we have built a team over a period of time. Our CTO is from IIT Delhi. There are people, you'll find like-minded people we hired from IIT Bombay, a couple of years ago. So you will interact with like-minded people. We have an amazing ecosystem. Nandan reviews our work every 6 weeks. We've got people like Pramod Verma, who is architect of Aadhaar, as our tech advisor. So you'll meet very interesting people and see the possibilities of, how some of these, tech platforms with the right kind of intermeshing with societal forces can create a big impact. So I'll pause here. I might have run over time, but thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
Thanks, Viraj. That was very informative, and it seems like very interesting projects that are possible for our alumni to participate in. I will now request the folks on the call to type in the questions. If there are questions that you have to Viraj or Professor Mahesh or to IITMAA regarding the fellowship program, please type it in the questions tab. While the questions are coming up, Viraj, one question that I had for you was these fellowship opportunities. Are there any geographic places for these fellowships?
I would say initially it'll be Bangalore, and then we'll see if there's a need to be in a particular state. We are right now working with Andhra Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh. But my sense is initially they'll be all Bangalore-based.
So there's a question here. Do you accept projects related to civic services or any project that helps students across the country? And so I don't know whether that was intended at e-government's foundation. I mean, do you, like, for example, do you have any projects related to students?
As in helping students or involving students?
Helping students or related to civic services. I think you do have civic services.
Yes, we have civic services, yes. Yeah. So I think I'm not sure I understand the question, but if your question is around, is it only
helping students? Ramesh Ramachandran says.
Yeah, no, that's not something we work on.
Right. So Ramesh, one other thing is currently we have three partners. That will be the nature right now of the of the fellowships, the focus there. One more question is, what are the pre-requirements for the participant to join the fellowship? So, I mean, one, of course, is it's open to our alumni, of course, and you would have to, that's one pre-requirement in the sense you are an alumni, you qualify to apply, and then you can talk to the folks at eGovernment's Foundation and take that forward. But we are opening it out to friends of alumni as well. But there, what we want is an alumni to be able to nominate a person. So that is one level of trust that we want to build into the system. We are not going out directly into the market because this is the first year we're launching this program. And the second thing is, this is where I will request some help from our alumni as well, that for our non-alumni, we will have a process whereby we speak to them and do one level of evaluation. So there I will request support for alumni to help us in that evaluation process. Okay, there's one more question. How can those interested join the fellowship program? So Viraj, you want to talk through maybe the process, if any, at your end, as in they apply, they go to our portal, the IITMAA.org. These opportunities are there. You apply there, and then you will have a round of interaction with the e-government people. So there, Viraj.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very simple process. I think you apply on the portal. We have an internal process and an interview panel that will take you through what your strengths are, what the kind of roles are there. You can ask questions there, and there'll be assessment of that. And I think the biggest filter for working in this sector is really your passion for making a difference. I think that's the biggest filter, because it's, as I said, it's extremely hard. It's not a linear, corporate kind of thing that most of it done before. So I think that's something we really filter for. Otherwise, I think it's like any other, interview conversation.
One question by Abhijit. Viraj, you can take this. What are the prospects for the fellow after completing 1 year? Is there anything?
So see, there are 2 or 3 threads here. One is obviously eGov is 3 years ago we were just 30 of us, so we are a growing organization, and I think our vision and our mission and our ambition has really expanded. We were from a tech organization, we've become what I call societal change organization. So we are growing constantly. So that's one. Second is there is a very rich ecosystem. So a lot of our people have joined government, for example, in their project offices, or something like Telangana has this tech hub, those kind of things. Thirdly, civic tech as a entrepreneur led segment is growing very fast. So people like Omidyar Network, who is one of our funders, they routinely do funding challenges on multiple problems. They'll throw a problem statement out. So people who are interested to become entrepreneur in the tech space, some of them go back and actually try that out. So those are the 2 or 3 kind of prospects that I could think of.
Right. So, and if I may add, this is Krishnan here. If I may add, from an IITMAA perspective, there are 2 things that we are trying to do to support our fellows. So one is some level of capability building that IITMAA will offer through the duration of the fellowship. Capability in terms of some capacity building, some training, etc., that we will offer the fellows. So that's one level of capability building that's happening. The second is, it's not in place yet, but we do intend to have some way in which we can have a tie-up with potentially organizations in the social sector which can offer jobs. So these are 2 things that you can expect post the fellowship. When does the fellowship start? Is the next question.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we are ready to take people on. So I think I don't know what your internal process is, but I think from our point of view,
Right. I think it's is you apply this thing and go through the process, Ramesh Shastri. G. Ramkumar asks a question to Professor Mahesh on water. I've been involved in practical rainwater harvesting for the last 20 years. Is there a question there, Ramkumar? Good to know this. I don't see a question there. So Professor Mahesh, maybe the question is in terms of is there an opportunity for him to help? Is there some effort happening on campus for water or rainwater harvesting and so on? I mean, we keep hearing about in summer months we have to hire tankers and so on. So are there efforts and whether he can help?
There's efforts ongoing all the time. We're constantly trying to make our systems more efficient. And a couple of years ago, we put a complete grey water recycling system across the campus. So there's water is recycled twice before it is let out into the drain. So that's the first innovation that we put in place. We also have a project ongoing where we want to create a smart water distribution system. So a system that actually measures demand in different parts of the campus and then studies the appropriate and optimal distribution network. In some sense, almost like a reconfigurable network using valves. Reconfigurable network on demand. This kind of a system is being implemented in a few different villages in Maharashtra as well by the same group of faculty members and students. So there are, obviously these kinds of efforts are very important, ongoing, and crucial to ensuring that we continue to conserve our resources and make our living more sustainable. Over
Thanks,
to
Professor
you,
Mahesh. And
Krishnan.
Ramkumar, if you
Sure.
have some practical solutions, etc., please do forward, and we can share it. Right. Thanks, Professor Mahesh. And Ramkumar has said he has some practical some suggestions. So please do share, Ramkumar, and then we will take that forward. I saw some of the eGov services your platform has includes water tax, property tax payment. This is already being done by Chennai Corporation. So eventually, will these services come out of your platform? Ask Srinivasa.
interestingly, Chennai actually uses one of our oldest customers for the last 9 years, I think. So Chennai is one of our most extensive implementation when we used to do implementation ourselves. So they use our system. I think, but yeah, that's the plan. But if a state already has something, we're not saying you need to adopt our platform. I think as long as they adhere to the principles of open, interoperable, extendable platforms, it works. And just one quick point I want to make is our unit of change is not a city, because I think then you just keep your focus on big cities. Our unit of change is a whole state. So those of you who understand technology, we implement one state as a single tenant, and other as a single instance, and all the cities and towns within that are tenants. So our unit of change is actually state, not cities. I hope that answers the question.
Right. Thanks, Viraj. There's a question saying, is this a full-time fellowship? Yes, this is full-time. What we have also seen is that some people are saying, hey, they want to volunteer their time, but they already have a day job and they're willing to do part-time and so on. But what we have heard from our partners is that right now, they have the capacity to speak for full-time fellows. Part-time, not at this stage. Is that correct, Viraj? My understanding.
That's right.
Okay, so Suraj, full time.
Krishnan, I just want to add one more thought on that. I think
Yes.
Viraj mentioned that the place of work is likely to be Bangalore. That's the case with the eGov Foundation. But going forward, we may want to have partners, or we may have partners where the place of work could also be flexible. Given how all of us are now working from home, and working from home is likely to be the norm for some time. It may just turn out that some of these fellows may work from wherever they are rather than relocating to a new place if that is required. So let's bear that in mind as well as we grow to include more partners and also work with our existing partners.
Right. Thanks, Professor Mahesh. So I think I don't see other questions. I think we've had a. So I'll take this opportunity to thank Professor Mahesh, for setting the context, and to Viraj for explaining, in a practical way what people can contribute through through these fellowships with eGovernment Foundation. I thank them for their time today, and I encourage all the participants. Please log on to iitma.org. There's a tab there called Innovation for Bharat at the right at the top of the screen. I mean, the top of the page. So click on it, look at these opportunities, and apply. We will also seek for people who are not doing fellowships but who want to help IITMAA in terms of spreading the word around, in terms of evaluating candidates who come, etc. We seek your support. With that, thank you all for today's session, participating in today's session.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for organizing this. Really appreciate it. I look forward to welcoming some fellows soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.